Entrepreneurs Association of Nigeria. I'm pleased to welcome you all to today's webinar, which we term as the National Seed Platform webinar. Today's one is going to be an interesting one because we are diving into the value chains that we have in Nigeria. The Collaborative Seed Program, which is being funded by the Kingdom of Embassy of Netherlands, is pleased to welcome everyone today. Today, our theme for today is strengthening seed sector professionalization through thriving value chains. And we have a host of panelists and keynote presenters who will be making presentations to us today. And it's very, very good for you to please listen attentively and participate fully. Today on our agenda, we have a keynote presentation on tomato value chain as well as rice value chain itself. After that, we'll be having our official welcoming by our Acting Director General of National Agricultural Seed Council in the person of Dr. Khalid Ishaq. He's going to be opening this webinar for us to start. After which we have the two keynote presentations, we have questions and comments, as well as panel discussions. We have an array of panelists in the house from the tomato value chain, rice value chain. We have agronomists in the house too. And of course, we have people from the finance industry who will be giving us more reflections on this. And finally, we'll be having reflections from one of our sister programs, which is the Oti Nigeria program itself. And then it will conclude with final words from National Agricultural Seed Council, and we'll have our closing session too. So quickly, permit me to bring on board the acting DG of National Agricultural Seed Council in the person of Dr. Khalid Ishaq to please officially welcome us and open this webinar. Thank you very much. While we await the arrival of the acting DG, the objectives of today's webinar are: one, to share experiences on the development of crop value chains, creating a demand for quality seed. Secondly, we want to get perspectives of different stakeholders on opportunities for professionalizing the seeding system in the context of commodity value chain development. And last but not the least, is to strengthen the synergy among stakeholders in the crop value chains that we are presenting today. So it's going to be an interesting one because all of you know that rice and tomato play a very, very important role in the nutrition space in Nigeria. At least all of us know about jollof rice. You can't have jollof rice without having tomato and rice added together. So with me today is Mr. Ojogu Ekun from National Agricultural Seed Council. We'll be hosting this webinar together. Mr. Ojogu, you two can come in to give one or two words while we wait for the acting DG. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the National Seed Platform webinar series. It's always been a very interesting time to discuss topical issues in the seed space in Nigeria and beyond. And we'll be having very interesting moments. And today is going to be another wonderful time. The anchor, our facilitator, Mr. Steven, has told us, what we are looking at. And we are just nosing into the tomato value chain and the rice value chain, using those examples, to cascade to other value chains. So good to have us in the meeting. We are happy that our Acting Director General, a very passionate personality and experienced personality in the seed industry, is already in the meeting. And for us to have the honors to continue, he has to open and welcome this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, and my facilitator, Mr. Steven, I think Dr. Khalid is in the meeting, so he could be invited, for the opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ojogu. Acting DG, Dr. Isha Khalid, can we have you on board to officially welcome and set the tone for us? Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hope, are you hearing me? Or am I with you all?
Very clear,
Yeah, we
sir.
can hear you. Only that we can see your
Okay,
video.
Okay, let me come in video. Okay, am I okay now?
Yes, thank you very much. Glad to have you, Doc. Yes.
Yeah, well, for those in Nigeria, good morning. And the rest other parts of the world, it is possible it is afternoon or maybe even in the night. So it is my, I want to, the anchor, I think, I don't know whether you have already established a protocol. If you have not, please permit me to allow you to have, assume that you have already established a protocol. So I think all of us here are the member of the SEED family and all over the world. So thank you very much. I want to just give the opening remark. And it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this very important webinar on strengthening seed sector professionalism through thriving value chain with the shared purpose to explore and enhance vital linkages within the seed industry, driving it towards greater efficiency, innovation, sustainability of the resilient seed system that will ensure sustainable access to quality seeds by farmers for shared agricultural prosperity. It is against this backdrop that the National Agricultural Seed Council, through its seed platform, gathers the industry specialists to brainstorm on the possible strategies for optimum profitability in the agricultural value chain. Ladies and gentlemen, what is this? Sorry for the little, ladies and gentlemen, it is worthy to note that seeds are the fundamental building blocks of our food system, playing a pivotal role in ensuring global food security and agricultural productivity. To unleash this full potential, a robust and well-organized value chain is imperative by promoting professionalism throughout this chain, from research Well, I want to also let us know that after not just this, the national food security issue, which has been a very seriously for now, it's like in this part of the globe, we seem to be competing within man and livestock. That's why you have this conflict here and there. But this professionalization is expected to take us out of this kind of challenge. The world faces a plethora of challenges, from climate change, population growth, and resource scarcity to evolving consumer preferences. Amidst these challenges lies an incredible opportunity, building a resilient and sustainable agricultural system. The systems sector, being at the very heart of this transformation, demand a holistic approach that emphasizes professionalism and embraces innovation across the value chain. The distinguished seed sector stakeholders, as a council, we are practically doing everything possible to ensure that traded seeds pass through the National Quality Assurance and Certification Protocol through strict implementation of quality assurance measures, as well as international best practices. Just recently, Nigeria is a member of the 62nd member of OECD seed scheme, and our central seed testing laboratory has just undergone the Easter testing. Accreditation team has just visited us last week. And so we expect some very good, it's creating of good opportunities for those in seed business so that the businesses can thrive both nationally as well as internationally. The council is also firming up its policy and regulatory support that promotes the growth and development of the seed sector. Measures include the review of the seed policy, setting up of the Plant Variety Protection Office with regulation put in place to further strengthen varietal development and encouraging huge investment in research development to improve germplasm that will feed the challenges that we face insightful conversation, exchange experiences, and develop action strategies that can elevate the seed sector's role in shaping a more sustainable, food-secured world. Let us identify potential bottlenecks and opportunities, exchange knowledge, and forge partnership that can drive innovation and growth in the seed sector. We must move beyond silos and embrace cross-disciplinary approaches. By combining our expertise and resources, we can foster a seed sector that is more resilient, sustainable, responsive to the needs of the changing world. Together, we can create a future where thriving value chain in the seed sector pave the way for more prosperous and secured world. On this note, I wish to thank the management of the Collaborative Seeds Project for creating this platform for intellectual discourse for stakeholders, and I therefore wish everyone fruitful deliberations and a successful webinar. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, my acting DG, for your kind words and the permission for us to proceed with this webinar. Quick ones from the DG's opening remarks. We're talking about combining efforts to combat climate change, consumer preferences, as well as tackling food insecurity in Nigeria through certified quality seeds approach, as well as policy framework that will be required. So on this note, we would like to proceed with our webinar by introducing the two keynote presenters that we have this morning. First of all, we'll be having the tomato value chain. And the title of this presentation is titled Strengthening Seed Sector Professionalization in the Tomato Value Chain. We have in the house Mr. Eson Akolo from Tomato Jos. He is a seasoned agronomist and a smallholder farmer manager. Mr. Eson Akolo, we welcome you this morning. So we'll give you the opportunity to kindly proceed with your own presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Akolo.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. First and foremost, thank you for this opportunity. I'll just introduce myself briefly, and then I will just shut my video and then proceed with my presentation. All right, so my name is Eson Aklo Elijah. Yeah, I work with Tomato Jos. Doing can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right, sorry, please give me a minute. All right. Okay, so interestingly, right? We're always looking for opportunity to interact and to share on what we are doing with our farmers. And thank you for this platform to be part of the keynote speaker. Let me just go straight ahead and dive into the topic. All right. I will just be basically talking about the seed adoption strategy and then the professionalization in the tomato value chain. And I will also just give you a highlight of how that is done by the tomato program that the Tomato Just Farming and Processing works. So briefly, just as an introduction, seeds are very vital to us, as we've always stated, vital to every sustainable agriculture of any country. And as you know, in Nigeria, the key drivers of agriculture, whether grain production or vegetable, are the smallholder farmers. In fact, 90% of the vegetable vegetable farming, tomato especially, farmed by the smallholder farmers. And again, most of the varieties that these smallholder farmers have been using are very old varieties, 20 to 50 years old, that are susceptible to all kinds of pests and disease. And again, just stating the obvious again, Nigerian farmers, smallholder farmers, are largely uneducated. This is very important as we go on, because I will highlight some issues around that. All right, so what are the key issues with the smallholder? First, adopting new varieties, adopting quality seed, before we talk about the market expansion. The key issue, unlike grains, tomato is majorly farmed for profit. Most farmers don't farm, unlike the grains, that is, most farmers largely farm it for food. Tomato is majorly farmed for profit. It's a cash crop. Farmers. Now, these farmers, as in their basic challenge is these seeds. If you introduce hybrid quality seed, the basic challenges around seeds are expensive. Farm management is expensive. The farmers do not have, good agronomic practices, and market is very uncertain. We know the issue of the tomato market, the fluctuation in price and all of that. And then, of course, the irrigation infrastructure. Now, it's important to highlight these things because they are key drivers of what inform farmers' decisions. Now, if the seeds are expensive, if farm management is expensive, if the farmer does not have infrastructure, right, and then he doesn't have market, right, there is no incentive, right? If the market is uncertain, and then he doesn't know the price he's going to sell at, there is no incentive to actually buy an expensive seed, because a quality seed will involve good management in order to yield the genetic potential of that variety. So therefore, most farmers are just comfortable with, recycling seed or buying very cheap old varieties that are susceptible, to a lot of diseases. And the issue of infrastructure, so if a farmer buys seed that is quite good seed that is quite expensive, and he does not have the know-how or the infrastructure to raise it properly in the greenhouse, already he's losing. So let me give you an example. A quality seed, a good seed of tomato will go for maybe around 10 naira. And if a farmer buys a 10 naira worth of seed and he does not have a proper infrastructure to raise this nursery, and then, like every normal farmers do, they just pour it on the ground, I'm sure that farmer will lose maybe as much as 30% of that seed. So the incentive to actually do all of these things are not, so much there for the farmer. And this has informed, poor adoption of quality seed for the farmer because of all of the expense, and the uncertainty and the risk the farmer. Another issue is, the irrigation infrastructure. Most farmers use the flood irrigation system, which, is very inefficient. Fuel prices are high, so expensive and irrigation infrastructure for the farmers are not there. So the incentive to actually adopt and buy these new varieties, these quality varieties are not there. So what are the key things that we have done, in order to change this mindset from farmers? First and foremost, one of the things that we have done is we have collected. In fact, the slide in front of you is a slide that states how tomato just screen seed in order to recommend those seed varieties to farmers. We have done some work with many seed companies, and what we do basically is to collect seed entry. Now, since the farmers around us since the farmers that work here are majorly around our area, we do quality seed trial for the farmers. So how we do it is, the first year we just collect seed and then run an experimental trial just to select some. So in the past 3 years, I have run trial for, almost more than 200 varieties of tomato. What am I doing? I'm trying to check yield and Brix, so that whichever farmer that is going to supply tomato to Tomato Jos as a market, right? Number one, will know that his yield, of course, the basic expectation of the factory is quantity of tomato, quality of tomato. And of course, in terms of quality, you mean mold count is low, the Brix content is high. Now, those are the parameters. And in order to help the farmers, we do these trials where we do all of these experiments to see, okay, which are the varieties that have high Brix, have low, normally are not susceptible to mold count, and are, of course, high yielding. Now, when we do that in the first year, we select some varieties, and then we move it to what we call a pre-commercial varietal stage selection, where we grow them in a half hectare or 1 hectare plot. Now, in Tomato Jos farm. And now, when we do that, it is from this result that we select the varieties, and we tell the farmers, well, if you want to, supply tomato seed to us, fresh tomato to us, and these are the particular seeds that you have to use. Now, again, we have ascertained the yield of those varieties, and we know that they are very high yielding, and they're capable of covering the cost of the farmer. Now, so the next thing we do is, after we've done these trials, we bring in the farmers for what we call a normal field day, right? That they can also see what we are doing and also be involved in a certain, in a way in the selection process. And we give them a form so that they can feel and tell us what they feel about each of the varieties that they are seeing. And after that, we collate all of that information. We make a decision on which varieties the farmers will grow commercially. Now, what we have done is to give the farmers, to help the farmers in varietal selection. So therefore, if any farmer is having a variety, well, other than that has no specific color, that has no specific, and then again, we also give liberties for these farmers. So if you have a variety that you think that is good enough, has hybrids, because we will test those quality. Now, so we create a system where the market demands what it wants from the farmer. Now, that way, the farmers are in a way obliged to, use quality seed in order to grow the tomato that they are going to supply to the company. But again, like I said, the problems of the farmers, as stated above, are numerous. So if I give a farmer quality seed, and then the farmer is not able to put in irrigation infrastructure, he doesn't have a good gap, and doesn't have, some kind of facilitation in terms of finances to help him run that farm, will be a program. So something that we have also created is also to ensure that, again, while the farmer will try to grow this tomato from quality seeds, right? And then while there is a market, now the gap there of infrastructure, the gap of, like I said, infrastructure, irrigation, and greenhouse is provided for the farmer. So, by the way, greenhouse business should be a greenhouse infrastructure business, vegetable value chain, not just tomato, right? Generally, the vegetable value chain is something that, as in, we generally ensure that farmers don't, waste a lot of money, and their yield begins to drop. So it's important to know. So when these farmers, when we bring in these farmers that will grow this tomato, we provide this infrastructure for them, irrigation, just to ensure that the yield potential of those varieties are achieved. Again, the farmer will not believe you if he does not see with his own eyes, right? So we provide this infrastructure for the farmers to ensure that, like, not only are they accepting those, are they willing to accept those varieties, but then the infrastructure to help them grow and be profitable using these varieties are present. So we help them with greenhouse infrastructure and training. We facilitate, we also build an irrigation infrastructure where farmers can lease that irrigation infrastructure, and we provide services for them in terms of extension, just to guide them on the know-how to grow this crop. And averagely, with these quality seed, farmers, in fact, last year, our best farmer was a female farmer who her yield was 88 metric tons of tomato per hectare. Now that's against 5 to 7 metric tons national average. The gap is huge. The farmers know that they haven't. In fact, one of the feedbacks we got is that they have never seen tomato grow like this. So that has influenced, not only now, this system we're running has not only influenced the farmers we engage directly, but also the farmers that are within our geographical location. And not just within our geographical location, but people that have heard, and a lot of people have come and seen these varieties, and they are now a little confident that adopting hybrid seed, as in, if they have a market, adopting these seed varieties are expedient in achieving high yield, and that way they can be able to supply companies and factories. So this is a brief of what Tomato Jaws and how it works in its model. Tomato Jaws provides a comprehensive loan package at the start of the season for the farmer. So loan, tractor, labor, and all of that for the farmers, trainings and everything, extension service, land lease, and irrigation services also is provided for the farmer. And these farmers are given a loan package, and they give out tomato at the end of the season, and the numbers for their loan and the numbers for their revenue are calculated, and then the profit is disbursed to the farmer. Now, but that's not the only thing, right? Now, because of this system that we have run, we have also worked with the Kaduna State Tomato Growers Association, who have adopted, working with hybrid varieties in order to supply the factory, the Tomato Jaws factory. And again, the testament is that, wow, these varieties are really good. And these are farmers that are just used to, growing the normal varieties, but because there is a target market and there is a demand from this market in terms of the quality spec for this tomato, these farmers are willing to adopt varieties that they would normally would not have adopted if that market is not there. And these markets exist. The quality of this tomato exists. And one of the things that we must do is also to work with the farmers in order to provide them with these markets so that based on the demands of these markets, right, these farmers can grow tomato and supply this market. And if that is done, the major problem of the farmer is I have low, again, like I stated, I have no money to buy seed. I have no money to buy all of these inputs. But then if a provision is made, farmers are really willing, knowing the potentials of this hybrid, farmers are really willing to adopt and take on quality seed in order to grow tomato, not just tomato, all of those value chains. So in conclusion, again, a thriving seed value chain is important at least for agricultural transformation. And if we are going to increase adoption for farmers, it is important that we put a lot of focus on, inclusive, what we call inclusive, an inclusive businesses that, focus on developing farmers' capacity in order to adopt, to increase their yield, adopt quality seed, increase their good agronomic practices, and also, of course, buy from these farmers. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't pass my time. Thank you. Please, if you have any question, I'm willing to take, well, as many questions as my time will permit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akolo. It's been a wonderful one. For me, you talk so much about farmers. Farmers are so key to any agricultural transformation in any nation. We cannot do away with farmers, most especially when we know that the farmers play a huge role. They are the ones that will enter the fields to produce the crops that we eventually eat. And it's very, very, very important. I would like Mr. Isaac Eni to get set. He's going to make a presentation on behalf of Sasakawa, Nigeria. He's representing Dr. Godwin Atsa, and he's going to be talking on strengthening seed sector professionalization in the rice value chain. Before he starts, I would like to tell our audience that you can please type your questions in the chat box. We'll be taking them one after the other after this second presentation by Mr. Isaac Eni. It should be noted that Nigeria is having a deficit in tomato production. We produce about 1.5 million tons of tomatoes. It's against the 2.2 million metric tons of tomatoes that is demanded per year. And it's even interesting to know that we lose about 700,000 metric tons of tomato due to post-harvest losses. After the farmers have produced what we want, we still lose a lot. So I'll be inviting Mr. Isaac Eni to give us his presentation on the rice value chain as it affects seed sector professionalization. Mr. Isaac, you are welcome to today's webinar. You can have the floor, please, sir. Mr. Isaac? Okay, while we wait for Mr. Isaac to come up.
Yeah.
Okay, you are here, sir.
Sorry, good morning, all.
Okay. You can go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Okay, let me share my screen from here. Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, house. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, Mr. Isaac, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm Isaac Eni, the technical coordinator for market-oriented agriculture in Sasakawa African Association, Nigeria. I'm representing my country director, Dr. Godwin Atsa, who is an unofficial trip outside the country. And we are making a presentation keynote address on the strengthening seed setup of generalization through thriving value chain, a case of rice value chain as our area of intervention. Yes, next slide, please. Yeah, so dear excellent partner, ladies and gentlemen, I stand here before you today as a representative of South African Association with great pride and enthusiasm to discuss on a matter of utmost significance, which is strengthening sixth sector professionalization through driving value chains with specific focus on the rice value chain. For over 3 decades, SA has been at the forefront of agricultural development in Africa, working tirelessly to uplift smallholder farmers, enhance food security, and promote sustainable rural livelihood. The importance of the sixth sector cannot be overstated, as it forms the very foundation of agricultural productivity and resilience. Today, we gather here to exploit ways to unlock the full potential of the rice value chain and change climate change in the lives of millions of farmers across the globe. Yes, next slide, please. So as we gather here, it's essential that we recognize the critical role that the sixth sector plays in necessary food security, sustainable agriculture, and economic growth. Seeds are the building block of our cultural system. This one was even mentioned by Dr. Kali during his presentation, and their quality, their accessibility and efficiency have a profound impact on the productivity and resilience of our farmers and their food system. Rice value chain in particular hold a significant place in the global agricultural landscape. Rice is a staple food for more than half of the world's population, and it's a critical source of income for millions of farmers. Enhancing the efficiency and popularization of the sixth sector within the rice value chain is not just a matter of agricultural development, it is a matter of human well-being and progress. In African agriculture, it holds the central position of providing the pivot or a vital source of sustenance and income for countless families. However, the sector faces significant challenges, including limited access to quality seeds, low productivity, post-harvest loss, and inefficient value chains. So to address these issues and pave way for a prosperous future, we must therefore, yes, next slide, please. So some of these areas that we have to look into is research and development, which involve investing in research and development is fundamental to identify, developing, and deploy improved rice and rice seed varieties that are more resilient, disease resistant, and have higher yield. This requires collaboration between public and private institutions to drive innovation and bring cutting-edge technologies to farmers. Another area we have to look into seed quality production and distribution. Professionalizing the seed sector involves implementing rigorous quality control measures in seed production and distribution by establishing transparent certification process and promoting best practices. You can ensure that farmers have access to high quality seeds that meet their specific needs. Capacity building is also very important in strengthening the capacity of farmers, extension workers, and other stakeholders in the rice value chain is vital. Training programs should encompass modern agricultural technology, sustainable practices, and the effect of the use of those technologies, empowering them to make informed decisions to enhance productivity. Then the issue of market access and linkage, which is very important. A thriving value chain requires efficient market access and linkages, facilitating access to market and connecting farmers with buyers, processors, and exporters will help create a competitive and equitable trading environment. We also have the issue of innovation and technology adoption, which issue of embracing digital technologies and precision agriculture can revitalize the rice value chain from smart farming practices to blockchain-enabled traceability innovation that can boost our productivity, reduce waste, and improve transparency in the value chain. We also have the issue of policy support and collaboration, between government and policymakers can play a vital role in creating an enabling environment for six sectors and the entire rice value chain. Collaborating with these six sector players, NGOs and institutions can foster an ecosystem that is conducive to growth and sustainability. Yes, please. So the last but not the actual sustainability and inclusion growth as we move forward, it's imperative to ensure that growth within the rice value chain is sustainable and inclusive, protecting the environment, promoting gender equality, and supporting smallholder farmers are central to achieving this. So what have SA been doing in the rice value chain activities? SA Nigeria have been involved in rice value chain development for the past decade in partnership with other agricultural development partners, which includes the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, the Federal Government of Nigeria, through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, where we have a partnership project of transforming agricultural productivity and production in Nigeria through effective extension services, targeting rice value chain and others between 2014 and 2016. We also had the Agra Partnership Project of operating smallholder farmers' livelihood in Kaduna and Niger states of Nigeria through market-driven upscaling of maize, rice, and soybean between 2017 and 2021. Yes. Also, we also have another second ongoing partnership with Agra still, improving farmer resilience and upscaling productivity, incomes, and livelihood in rice, maize, soya, cowpea, and vegetable value chains in Niger, which we started in 2022 and is going to end in 2024. And we also have a big project, the Kano State Agro-Pastoral Development Project Partnership, which is an Islamic Bank Development Bank partnership, funded and partnership with the Kano State government, which is to strengthen the value chain extension delivery services to be led by the private sector and farmer associations on rice, maize, sorghum, millet, and vegetable crops within 2021 to 2025. So all the above listed partnership have the main objective to establish value chain through the following activities. We showcase or we demonstrate proven production practices both for rain-fed and irrigated rice to increase production and productivity. And it's my pleasure to inform you that in fact most of our farmers now harvest close to between 4 to metric tons per hectare for their rice plots. We also promote the use of simple land preparation machines such as power tillers and reapers. Also promote the community-based seed production with the support of NACS in issue of certification and monitoring and supervision to increase the availability of quality seeds at community level. We also promote the use of simple and affordable post-harvest machines to reduce drudgery and post-harvest loss. We train and empower women groups on modern rice parboiling techniques and packaging, support youth entrepreneurs to establish small and medium rice mills, and establish aggregation clusters and centers for paddy aggregation and collective market access. In conclusion, we say that SCA is committed to strengthening the six sector professionalization through driving value chain, the rice value chain in particular. By working hand in hand with the partners and stakeholders, we can drive inclusive agricultural growth, uplift smallholder farmers, contribute to the economic transformation of Africa. So we therefore say, let us embrace this collective mission with dedication, determination, and the shared vision of a hunger-free and prosperous Africa. Together, we can sow the seeds of progress and harvest a bountiful future for generations to come. I wish us a successful and productive work. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Isaac Kenny. What a wonderful presentation from Sasakawa, Nigeria. Notable among the discussions that we have had so far has to do with having thriving value chains that are demand-driven. It's very important that the demand for seed comes from the industry that needs those products to produce food. for the entire population. So I would like to call on our participants to send in their questions so that we can engage our panel, our keynote presenters more on their presentations. For me, people are asking, what is the strive to make sure that Nigeria is rice sufficient? Because from statistics available, the milling capacity in the country as at this moment is about 80 million metric tons of rice, whereas Nigeria is only able to produce just about 5.7 million metric tons of paddy for our populace. So, and the demand yearly is about 8 million metric tons per year. And we have a milling capacity of 80 million. Can we see that probably the value chain is tilted somehow? The processors are ready to mill more rice, but the paddy to get this done is not on ground. Probably that's what is affecting the high cost of paddy in the country. I think my moderator, co-moderator, Mr. Ekumojogu, has some words on this before we call on our keynote presenters.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. I think what we'll just need to do is just to proceed, into the panel discussion. Knowing too well that our panelists, they have a lot to say, and by the time we're done with them, some of these concerns would have been addressed. And I'm also happy that my acting director general, Dr. Isha Khalid, is also still in the call. At some point, he will be doing a wrap-up of the panel session, talking of the aspect of policy, from the seat perspective. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I will be introducing to us our panelists for this panel discussion. And first on my list, it's Mr. Sani Danladi. Mr. Sani Danladi is the Secretary General, National Tomato Growers, Processors, Marketers Association of Nigeria. With a whole vast and wide experience, he has traveled, the vast of this country, on tomato production, not just only production, but processing and marketing. Also in the panel, we are also having a tomato processor who gave us a keynote address. He's still going to give us some in-depth explanation on how they have been thriving on their tomato processing business, using the backward integration, which he did some explains within his presentation. Also in the panel, we are also having one of the largest processor within the continent, Olam. Olam Rice will be represented by Dr. Umaru Ismaila, who is a chief agronomist. Interesting, isn't it? He will be giving us all the details, how the backward integration has been done, the models they have been using to ensure that they are in the business for all of these decades. Alongside Dr. Umaru, we'll be having Mr. Ojo Olawale of Bayer Vegetable Seeds. Is a market development representative for West Africa. And it would interest you to know that Nigeria is a hub for seed, within the region, in terms of market, in terms of export, in terms of research, and in terms of the development of the sector. Again, also in this panel, you can't do all of this stuff without talking of finance. Finance somehow it's a major fulcrum, that rotates, the wheel. We have a seasoned value chain advisor in the house, very experienced, coming from the NISA, the Nigerian Incentive Risk Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NISA, the principal manager and the head of production and advisory services, and the person of engineer Baba Robert. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are my panelists. Dear panelists, you're welcome. I'm happy to have you. So we'll go this way. Maybe you put on your video when it's time for you to give us your own reflection and your own perspective. And we will be starting with Mr. Sani Danladi, the Secretary General, National Tomato Growers Processing Marketers Association of Nigeria. Mr. Danladi, can you unmute yourself and as well put on your video and so that we can have you. I can see that your hand is up. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I have two questions for you. I will take
Okay.
one after the other. And I appreciate that you give us, just succinct, perspective and strategies or actions that are taken regarding these questions. Now, the first question I have for you is this: okay, you control a whole lot of farmers. How do these farmers choose the seeds and the varieties they grow? Note, how do these farmers, the farmers you should pretend over, and other farmers you encourage, to do well, how do they choose the seeds and the varieties they grow? You have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, all. As earlier stated, my name is Sandala Diadapoli, and the National Secretary of National Tomato Growers, Processors, and Marketers Association of Nigeria, NAFAN. Let me thank National Seed Council for organizing this webinar. This will encourage everybody to stand at stone so that we develop this agricultural sector. Seed is a key in every aspect of farming. If you lose seed, that means you lose all your farming. That means seed is very key. So your council is very strategic in terms of agricultural development in this country. So let me go straight to the question, that is, how do the farmers choose the seed and varieties? Initially, I am talking about the smallholder farmer now. Farmers choose their variety of seed, one, by the market acceptability and yield. Third, the resistivity of the seed to withstand some shocks within the transit. And what I mean here is that, farmers choose their seed if the market accepts the seed. He will try so many varieties year after year, but at the end of the day, if he find a variety which is more acceptable to the market, that is the variety he will love to adopt almost every day. That means that he will get a market. All what is discouraging tomato farmers in Nigeria mostly is the lack of market acceptance. If I say acceptance, it includes market, it includes off-taker, it includes local or industries. Take for instance now, if we operate with Dangote and tomato juice, and also with Al-Dusar in Kazana, the whole thing is that we allow the off-taker to give us the variety of seed that he likes to process. He has the varieties, he has the parameters which you need, the seed need to fulfill before he can accept that tomato. So that one solely depends upon the off-taker. So if the off-taker approves the seed, it's like what the market also accepts. So farmer has no choice about the seed. All he needs is what the market needs. That is what he's trying to see, that we need that demand. That is most. Secondly, sometimes you go for the variety that is with high yield. High in the sense that the farmer can be able to get back his investment and more. So that is the way we locally used to choose our variety. For instance, if I will tell you now, if you ask some seed suppliers, like for instance, we have like Olida, Eastwood, and the rest, the volume of business they do this year, because the farmer have started realizing that the hybrid seed give more yields and it has acceptance in the market. So that encourages us to buy, no matter how cost it is. The farmers now are very wise enough to buy hybrid seed. If you ask them how much do they sell in this wet season, which are operating to start harvesting now, if they tell you the amount of money that they realize in selling the hybrid seed, you're surprising. So the farmers are not afraid of buying seed, no matter how cost is, in as far as they have guarantee of taker who will obtain their product. So that is the key now. So in terms of variety, that is very important. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sani. Really interesting, to know. I'm happy that you are a farmer, you work with farmers, and you work with smallholder farmers. And it's important to know, because there has been this myth that farmers don't like improved seed, they don't like a hybrid. It's good to know, from your perspective, that farmers are buying high quality seed. But again, if I might also ask, what do you really think will encourage farmers to continually to invest, from the farmer's perspective, invest in quality seeds?
The fundamental is off-taker. Who will uptake the tomato? Who will buy the tomato after production? Because what we are having is that you invest. If you take, for instance, there is no any crop that has high cost of production more than tomato. But if the farmer will spend almost what he has to cultivate a hectare of tomato at the cost of not less than 1 million naira, at the end of the day, he didn't have a guarantee of taker, and he end up getting nothing. So if you have a guarantee of takers who will uptake our tomato, I'm telling you, all the deficit we are talking about, we can breach it. And even happy to tell some the viewers that deficit we are talking about, that was the survey of almost 2015-16. Now, for instance, we are using plastic crates, we are using hybrid seed, we are taking our tomato. That post-harvest loss has been reduced significantly, so that that deficit, we're about to close it. But the issue is that if we are not to encourage in getting the guarantee of takers, that is why we are getting a low production. Because even last year, what has caused it is that I even said it severally, because this year we are going to face shortage of tomato supply because we don't have off-takers. We are tired of spending our resources cultivating tomato, and at the end of the day, we did not recover our investment. That is what is causing. Let me assure you, if you have so many companies to uptake our tomato, we have organized open market to uptake our tomato. I'm telling you, we are ready to produce to even export outside the country.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Sani. In fact, if we have off-takers in the house, this is already an opportunity. You can reach out much later, and then we give you the connections and the contact. So my facilitator was saying there is a gap. We have seen where the gap is. We are having shortage of off-takers. So farmers must get their investment. So that is an area we have to think on how to tighten the knot. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sani, the Secretary General, National Tomato Growers Association. I will be moving right away to my second panelist, and I will be talking with Mr. Esson Akolo. He just made a presentation, and I'm happy he's a processor. So, Mr. Esson Akolo, are you still in the call?
Very well.
Yeah. It's okay. Thank you for being part of this panel's discussion session. So my two questions, and then I'll appreciate if you just hit them straight, so that we proceed. So how do you ensure
Hello?
Mr. Esson, can you hear me, or we lost you?
Yeah, it's you I didn't hear. I actually didn't hear the question.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm asking is this. How do you guys get sufficient quality tomatoes from farmers for your processing business?
All right.
Just give us, straight. Go ahead.
All right. I thank you. It's beautiful that my question is coming immediately after the Tomato Growers Association. So one of the biggest gaps for processors is the quantity of tomato supply per time, not available throughout the season, per day. Now, because the factory has to run in capacity, the factory cannot process any amount of tomato that is made available in a day. There must be a capacity, a quantity that the factory is able to get in a day. For example, Tomato Juice factory is about 90 metric tons per day. Now, so When we have tried to work with farmers, one of the problems we face is that they can give you 5 metric tons today, 50 metric tons tomorrow, maybe 150 next tomorrow. That inconsistency is a very huge problem for a processor. Now, what Tomato Juice has done is, instead of waiting for farmers to produce from afar and bring it to Tomato Juice factory, what we did was to set up infrastructure for the farmers within our facility. So the farmer does not have to produce from Zaria. He can produce right in our facility. So he has irrigation, he has extension, he has greenhouse, he has all the infrastructure he needs. Now that will guarantee high yield for the farmer. Now that also guarantees that the distance traveled with tomato is not far from the factory. Now, it also gives us the opportunity to plan the planting of the tomato such that tomato can be consistently available throughout the production period in the factory during production at the quantity and the quality that the factory needs. So all of those inspection is done. So with that, it creates an ease for the supply of tomato in that quantity that the factory needs.
Okay. So, okay. So
yeah.
going by this model, that you've established, it does mean that somehow you're meeting your processing requirement daily.
Yes.
Or you're
just, hello, can you hear me?
Have you put that in place? Is it really working?
Pardon, please, sorry, your network also broke again. I didn't hear your last statement.
Oh my God. What I'm saying is, you have just explained a model to us of certain farmers within your processing facility, right? Good.
Yeah.
So do you guys now have sufficient tomato for processing with this model?
So interestingly, right? Like I explained earlier, our yields are almost 8 times more than the national average based on this model. And then the supply of factory, the flow of tomato in the factory is now consistent. Now, Tomato Juice is still open to take from farmers outside because, of course, what we can produce is just within some months of the season based on the pricing and the quantity that we can get in yield. And we are open to processing from farmers outside. But then again, like I stated earlier, we have to give them varietal specification. We also invest in trying to monitor their field, to train them on gaps. And so for this year, we have also gone beyond our facility to work with the Tomato Growers Association in Kaduna State. The quantity of tomato they are supplying per day is still way less than the capacity of the factory.
Within the industry. At some point, the farmers are saying we are having issues of off-takers, and you can also see the challenge the off-takers are having from their own perspective. So we can now see how we have a meeting point. Now, the final question for you, Mr. Eson, is that during your presentation, you did mention that you provide support for farmers, to produce. So I'm not going to ask you that question again, whether you do, you have already told us. But the question I will be asking you is there any contract breach with these farmers after supporting them with input? At the time of harvest where you need to pay back, is there any breach?
No, we've never had any breach. Again, interestingly, Ola has been to my farm and we've been interacting with Ola very often, right? What happens is that our farm is confined within an area. So it's very hard for the farmers to, side sell on all of the problems that is associated with, smallholder farmers. So based on the contract, everything moves to the factory. We've really never had a contract breach from the farmers. Always gone smoothly for us.
Great. Thank you very much. And that's to tell us that the model Tomato Jaws is using, it's a fantastic one, and it could be replicated, by other actors to ensure that we close this gap. We have capacity to produce for the continent or for the region. So there's no point for us to be importing tomato paste, So if we use some of these strategies, I think we will strengthen the entire value chain, the entire agricultural value chain, and then the seed value chain. Thank you very much, Mr. Eson. Probably at some point I might still get back to you. But for now, I'd like to proceed, and let's also get interactions and perspectives from the rice value chain. So I will be inviting the chief agronomist of Olam Rice Farm, Dr. Umaru Ismaila. Dr. Umaru, are you in the call? Yes, I can see you. Dr. Umaru, we can hear you. Are you with us?
Hello, good morning.
Okay, good morning and welcome. It's okay, so I'll go right away. Yes, I know that Olam is a big name. It's a household name, a lot of value chains. But now, dwelling and focusing on rice, how do you ensure your farmers get quality seeds, to fit your processing, to fit your market demand?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Dr. Umar Ismaila, the Chief Agronomist of Olam Rice Farm. Of course, yes, at the beginning, at the exception of the rice farm in Rukubi, the company identified quality seed as a big factor in providing quality paddy for rice meal. And the quality of seed provided to farmers is directly correlated with the quality of meal rice you get out. I will say that, and have identified that by the company decided to establish a rice seed themselves, where we produce quality rice on our own farm. And that has helped us a lot. The next stage of the aspect of providing paddy to the mill is to establish what we call the OGP, the Agro program. The Agro program cut across about 7 different states, where we have over 40,000 farmers that produce quality rice for the company. And these 40,000 farmers are cultivating over 50,000 hectares of rice farm gotten across Taraba, Benue, Nasarawa, Niger, down to Kebbi and Jigawa State, where we get quality paddy from there. The OGP program is a key aspect of integrated Olam Rice Farm, and it's structured in such a way that each of these state and mentioned have their own coordinator, and each of the local government where the rice are produced, equally have a local coordinator that help to ensure quality paddy are produced by the farmers. The OGP collaborated various agencies from Federal Ministry of Agri, State Ministry of Agri, the CBN, ZIZ, National Seed Council, and many more, all in a way of trying to provide quality seed, training for the farmers, providing input for the farmers to ensure that quality paddy are produced by the farmer. Not only quality paddy, that we have enough quality paddy to run our mill throughout the year. So the OGP, in a way, has helped us to solve 2 problems. 1, quality. 2, availability of paddy. So that is the first aspect of the purchase. And the second aspect is, do we support farmers providing input. Yes, the OLAM does that. At the beginning, we provide support in areas of fertilizer, seed in particular, and other agrochemical like herbicides. But we're having difficulty recovering. So we have to go through the CBN, the anchor growers, that the CBN comes in between the provision of input to our rice farmers. So the issue of recovery and litigation was no longer there again, since the CBN is in between us and the farmer. So this is a summary of what it does and what it produces to farmers.
Okay.
Except you want me to elaborate much more.
Okay. Thank you very much. You did mention there was varieties that are in line with your billing specification, which is critical, and you also talked about the outgrower program. So now, what have been your major challenge in this outgrowers program? Because it's assumed that you're giving them some form of support. What has been your major challenge, and how can you rate your success rate? Also, you did mention that you're liaised with the Central Bank of Nigeria for support in terms of input. Is the outgrowers program really effective?
The agro program is a big success for Poland. And the only way you can keep the rice mill working is to have this agro in various states. Of course, yes, we have about 4,400 hectares of our own rice farm that only provide about 40% of our paddy required for the milling. The remaining 60% of the paddy come from the agros. And the agro become an integral part of the rice mill. Why? Because for you to have a quality paddy, you have to pass through the agro. So you don't just go out there that whatever you want. So the agro is a very big success for the company. Yes, you ask of what are the challenges with the agro? Yes, of course, yes. When we are getting some of the input directly to the farmers, we're having issues of recovery. Later, thank God for the CBN support of anchor grower and whatever. So we are more or less passing through the CBN to provide the support, particularly the quality seed from the company that will produce my company. So with that, the issue of recovery is not a big challenge for us again, but at the beginning, that was one of the major challenges we had. But that is no longer there again, because the honest lies on the CBN to do the recovery themselves, while we are paid by the CBN. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. For throwing more light to that recovery. You've adopted a new approach, for recovery. And is there any other challenge you're having from the outgrowers program in terms of maybe mixture or whatever, or not keeping to terms of contract?
It's okay. When we talk of outgrower, of course, yes, most of them are like cooperative farmers. And I've just mentioned the people who are collaborating with the state government, Ministry of Agriculture, through the ADPs, the ZIZ, NCRI, National Agricultural Council. So they are all our collaborators. The ADPs, they are always available at each of these states to ensure that the farmer
Hello?
to ensure that we have quality.
It's like we lost you.
Local government has taken coordinators.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, what I just said now is that we collaborate with both State Ministry of Agriculture, the ADPs, and the National Seed Council, NCRI, African Rice, to ensure quality seed is available for farmers. I will say that the coordinator at the state level and the local government levels, they are always on ground to ensure that what they are procuring is what is required by the rice mill to produce quality rice. There are measures in place at the hands of our coordinators to ensure quality paddy are procured from various villages in the state I mentioned earlier. Part of it is the moisture content, the color.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay. It's okay. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Maru. In fact, in a nutshell, this is achieved through very strong collaboration with all the partners and the actors, that you're working with. So thank you very much for sharing, your success story and the models you have been using to stay in business, in the processing business, in the rice value chain. Okay, because time will not permit, I want to move to my next panelist. I'll be inviting Mr. Ojo or Olawale of Bayer Vegetable Seeds. Mr. Olawale, are you still in the call? Okay, thank you very much. You're welcome. Yes, good. Now, do you directly work with community traders and processors, for seed? If yes, do they have specific questions on seed quality and varieties?
Yes, we do work with commodity traders associations and seed processors. So a case in study is what we are doing in Kaduna State, where we are working with the Tomato Growers and Processors and Marketers Association. And one of the key asks from them is the issues around transportability. So they are looking for tomatoes that can withstand the long transport kilometers that they have to go either to supply the fresh market or to supply processors. Also, now that they are beginning to work with processors, the brisk is another ask so that they can meet the specifications that are needed by the processors. In the case of onions, we also in Kaduna State, we are working with the onion processors and producers. It's around the shelf life, because they also do some exports to neighboring West African countries. So they are concerned about shelf life. Can they store, especially in trying to ensure that they can sell at good prices? There are specifications around disease package, adaptability to the seasons, and also color for the onions.
Okay, so thank you very much. You just mentioned some very, very vital issue that was also, it's also a question that has been asked by, the participant. The issue of perishability, the issue of shelf life. What can you say about that? What measures have been put in place to ensure that what is produced, can last longer and it's also destroyed, in the process of transportation? And I also like maybe at the end of the day, Mr. Eson Akolo, if you have something to say.
Okay, so for tomatoes specifically, which for us as a company is the new crop that we are playing in for about 3 years now. One of the key market needs that we realized when we were starting out is around firmness of the tomato. So as a very key criteria, any variety that we're going to be deploying into the Nigerian market must be firm, must have good shelf life, and this is what will be able to aid and support that long transport journey that the tomatoes need to take to get to the market.
Okay, so there's need for more work in this area for our breeders within in the country for the vegetable and especially the tomato subsector, the firmness so that it can survive long transportation. Okay, the next question for you is that, in your opinion, what do you think can strengthen the link between commodity traders, processors?
Basically, I think it will be a collaborative approach, a sustainable, mutual beneficial ecosystem of all key players. And what do I mean? We have had the speakers talk about the management that needs to go into good vegetable production, good agronomic practices, irrigation, certain infrastructures. And so if all players can come together to create an ecosystem where everybody plays their roles, be it financing, logistic, off-taking, even knowledge transfer, which is also an added responsibility for us as the seed producers to ensure that the growers get the best of the varieties that we are offering to them. And then input distribution and storage. If we can have an ecosystem that facilitates this for the growers, it will really go a long way to help us to be able to strengthen the value chain and ensure that everybody is happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, one of the key things Mr. Wale just mentioned is a collaborative approach, and there have to be mutual benefits. All the actors in the value chain must also benefit from the activities within the chain. Okay, thank you very much. I will still get back to you if time permits, but at this point in time, I'd like us, to address the issue of finance. And so I will be inviting the man who is there to direct agricultural lending for us, Engineer Baba Robert. Engineer Baba Robert, are you still in the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me very well?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now, do you support programs on value chain financing? If yes, how may that support professionalization of the value chain? Let me take it again. Do you support value chain financing? If yes, how may this support professionalization of the value chain? How can this support bring professionalization in the value chain?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ojogu. Good morning,
Yes.
Director. Good morning, everybody in the house.
Yes.
This webinar brought to fore our areas of interest in NASA value chain approach. Our mandate is to de-risk the agricultural value chain and facilitate finance into the agricultural value chain. That means your first question is yes, yes, yes. I support professionalism. Meanwhile, to buttress my point, I want to run us some summary across the two commodities that have been discussed. I will talk about tomato first, which is not my core area. Then I will go to rice, which is my core area. I'm on the technical working committee of NRDS2. Then I am on the board of CAP Africa, Nigeria Charter. So to start with tomato, when the presenter said that they've been collecting seed and doing variety checks, pilots, and they've attained 88 metric ton per hectare, I just look at it. If a professional company like Tomato Juice that have all the equipment are limited to 88 metric ton per hectare, when will we ever compete? Can we ever meet global price competition? I want to set an example. In the US, they are having average of 110 per metric ton. In Spain, 87. But in the best producing tomato country in the world, which happen to be a country that is supporting HOTI, Netherlands, they have average of 505 metric tons per hectare. In short, last year on their TOV, they were able to get 1,221 metric tons per hectare. Just imagine that kind of volume. People will be, oh, what's happening here? So how do we want to compete? Let's start with the value chain. It means that we need to invest in research first, because we are not supposed to gather seeds and try. No, we are supposed to develop our own varieties. In Netherlands, the tomato that produce over 100 metric ton per hectare are several. Are those several varieties? They are both greenhouse cover and then open field. For the record, Netherlands has only 2.6 million hectares of arable land available for them. Nigeria have like 34. But you know what? In the 2.6 million hectares that they have, almost 85 to 90% is covered under controlled environment. That is why the wonders are being done. In Nigeria, what percentage of our land do we have covered for controlled environment? We know tomato, we know the market in tomato. Why are we buying tomato up to 100,000 per maybe 30 kilogram basket in Nigeria between maybe June and August as we are? Because almost all our varieties are dry season run varieties. They don't produce much in the rainy season, and we are not looking that side. We know controlled environment is very, very, very expensive, but we have a way to approach. Why not? Let's become professionals. Let us look at categorizing the segments of the value chain from the seed to the production to processing and markets, and then let align finances into these segments. Where it needs singular financing like grant, let's find organizations that will put in those grants into developing those sections. Where it needed commercial, let's go commercial. Where it need intervention of government, let's go into intervention. Mr. Ekon talked about facility. Yes, infrastructures are the major issue. Irrigation and the control environment. That is, how do you control weather? How do you control pests? These are very, very important. So our approach in NASAL is segment the value chain, try to facilitate finance into specific, because not all colors of money goes into all colors of value chain segments. No, some segments will not be developed based on commercial because nobody wants to put its money in there. Some segments are commercially viable. So as early as the earlier we begin to look at these things by the segment and facilitate finance by it, we will still be lagging. I'll stop on tomato today. I don't want to go into much because I have a lot to say about it. Let me go to rice. As
okay, so for rice, you just in 1 minute summarize it. Okay.
In rice, the major issue is misaligned investment, as somebody asked. I like the figure you give, though our figure varies, but it's okay. Rice, we have invested trillions into large-scale mills over the last 15 years in this country. And all these large-scale mills are operating at less than 49%, less than 50, let's put it 50, less than 50, with very few above 50, but when you do the average, they are less than 50. So how does the investment come back? An operating factory must operate at least 65 to 70% to break even. But we are having billions and trillions of investment that are operating at less than 50%. So we have a challenge.
We can hear you again.
You cannot hear me? Hello? Hello?
Engineer Robert.
Hello? Hello?
Engineer Robert, we've lost you.
No, we can hear him.
I hear him.
Okay, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
go
we can actually hear you.
Yeah,
okay,
so
all right.
I was saying about rice, the number one issue is misaligned investment. It is loop-sided. We have trillions invested in integrated mills. They are operating at less than 50%. We have projected production of over 14 million metric tons of paddy per annum in Nigeria by 2025. But now we are producing, I don't think it's up to 30 million. So when are we going to meet that? NRDS have come up with documents that value chain actors should look at it. And how do we put our head together to look at the segments of the value chain and then facilitate finance into it, facilitate actors that will trade, then get training of the actors, and then let's see what we can do. On a very serious note, our seed in rice is nothing to write home about. As of last year, there were release of like 4 new hybrid, which happened to be the first hybrid in Nigerian rice. We have the Arisen, we have the Gawal, but what is their expected? Maybe 10 metric tons, highest. And when you go to the field, maybe end up in 6, 7. So how can we compete with people in Thailand that produce 16, 14 metric tons?
Can you summarize on this rice, because it's a follow-up question that you really need to attend.
So on the rice, we need to do serious thing and align our investment, and we should put more money into seed development. We need to develop hybrid seed that can be competitive in yield, such a way that we will stop talking of blocking the borders and compete against the international rice exporters. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Engineer Robert. You know, I know that if we give you the whole day, it won't be enough for you to talk about this value chain development and financing. But there is a critical question I would like to ask. You had mentioned the issue of research, which is very key. You talked of seed development for rice. You've also talked of developing our varieties for tomato. So that is the research, which is very key and critical. Now, and you also talked of segmentation of the value chain. Can you tell us, these are seed industry actors gathered here. What are the segments that within the value chain that are being supported or being financed by NISA?
Okay.
So that actors can take advantage of that, number one. Number two, how can actors allow that is being done by NISA?
I didn't hear the last one. How can actors align with what is being
Yes,
done by NASA? Okay.
yes, to assess
Okay.
the financing that is
Okay.
available
I'll
within
start by
NISA.
talking about which of the segment does NASA support. NASA support global segments of all agricultural value chain. All, when I mean all. However, all our models are based on sustainability. So at the Seed Connect Africa, I made a presentation and clearly itemized it, the 5 segments of the seed development. You understand? The first 2 are not sustainable on the commercial basis. It has to be blended finance. It has to be grant. It has to be government intervention. The mid segment, which is production of certified seed, that is commercially driven. So we have processing and marketing. We all support that. Now, how do people key into NASA activities? People key into NASA activities by approaching NASA or their banks. If you approach NASA for information are ready. We worked with association, commodity association. We educate them. We train them in states. Just recently, we trained sesame seed farmers in Sokoto. We go around the 36 states and we tell association on what to do. If you are producing for domestic consumption, this is what you do. If you are producing for export, this is what you do. If you want to go into processing, this is what you do to avoid these misaligned investments. So we are open and 2 ways. Approach your bank approach us, or you come to us directly. We have offices 36 states and the FCT. So that's how people come.
Oh my
To
God,
summarize the issue,
I'm
we
not
have
hearing
financing frameworks
Engineer
that
Robert
talks
any longer.
to almost every commodity that is
Engineer
being
Robert, are you
promoted
still
by
on?
government.
I think my network is a challenge or something.
Yeah,
I
think
can
it's your
hear
network.
you.
We can hear you very well. Maybe your network.
Yeah, it's his network. I think it's his network.
Engineer Robert?
Yes. I've been talking and they've been hearing me, Ojogu.
Okay, that's good. That's good. If they've been hearing you, I think my network has been or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So in a nutshell,
They have gone off.
Yes.
Can Adegun take over, please? I ask that question. Your network is not good.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Yes, it's interesting to note that NISAL is providing these services for the whole value chain itself. For seed sector participants, especially seed companies, they'll be more interested in knowing probably this one, you're not advertising any bank. Are there are there banks that have established relationship between commodity associations, between seed producers or input producers as a whole, that you can recommend probably to some of our listeners so that they can go there and establish relationships so that they can access some of these facilities? Thank you, sir.
Okay, NASA works with almost 16 that we've dealt with out of the 22, 23 banks. Some of the banks, you know, they are more of international driven. So some of them are not much inclined to financing agriculture, but it may shock you that one of our Pan-African bank, Stanbic IBTC, is the highest investor in agri value chain with NASA. But all the other 15, it all depends on what you are into. There are some banks that they are very interested in processing. They can finance whatever equipment you want. There are some banks that are into aggregation. They can finance whatever you want. The production has been the challenge, but we are breaking through because we have developed financing frameworks that the banks are even using without even our notice, and we're happy with it. So if anyone wants to know the banks he should go to, let us see his business plan. Then we can guide him on which bank is more favorable based on our experience. You understand? It's not a blanket stuff. As I said, some banks are more interested on some of the value chain segments, while some may not be interested in it. I can tell you that some banks have set up like up to 25% for agriculture. I can name banks here, Jais. Up to 25% of their investment in Nigeria, they say they have set it for agriculture. So that's to tell you that they may finance all the segments. I don't know. But I know clients that they finance equipment purchase for them, they finance installation of processing for them. They are now financing primary production for them. So there are a lot of banks with different varieties and different tests.
Thank you very much, Engineer Roberts, for your time. We've spent quite a couple of minutes on this session, and it has been an interesting one. Mr. Ojogu, do you have some words before we go to the final reflection?
Okay, I think just to appreciate my panelists, they have done well. I want to appreciate starting with Engineer Baba Robert, Mr. Ojo Olawale of Bayer Seat, Dr. Maru of Olam Rice, my son of Tomato Juice, and Mr. Sani Danladi of the Tomato Growers and Processors and Marketers, you know, and also the attendees of this webinar. Thank you. The thoughts, you know, that you have put out there, and I trust that actors within the entire seed sector will take advantage of this information and see how we can strengthen, you know, the entire value chain. So once again, thank you, and over to you, Mr. Stephen. Sorry, at some point the network was a bit glitching, and you couldn't hear me, and I couldn't hear you. But yes, that's the challenge we must overcome. Thank you very much. Over
Thank
to you,
very much, Mr. Ojogu, for anchoring that session. I would like to bring up to stage Mr. Kabir Ademo, who is representing the manager of OTI Nigeria. Mr. Kabir Ademo is the country office lead of Netherlands Africa Business Council, NABC, in Nigeria. Mr. Kabir, you've heard a lot of things that our panelists as well as our keynote presenters have made this morning. So what are your reflections on what we have discussed so far today? Mr. Kabir, you have the floor, please.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for a very educative and engaging session. And so permit me to stand on existing protocol as well. It's been a very interesting and engaging session, like the CSP always organizes. And I'm very happy to be part of the webinar. I think I will quickly go through some of the presenters, starting with Tomato Juice. We can see the importance of varietal selection in making the sector a lot more professional and making sure that we have varieties promoted to farmers that answers the farmers' needs and also the value chain's needs. So that plays a key role, something I've really learned today from Mr. Esson's presentation in building those value chain actors and sector. Also for the rice value chain, the increasing yield across the country, which has been directly linked to selecting the right varieties. It's very interesting. It's good to learn that, and the role outgrower models play in the dynamics of large-scale companies and processors in these value chains, walking down the value chain with the farmers itself. It's been a good eye-opener, and also understanding some of the implications of the financing. I think bottom line of it, from all of us as experienced people in the seed sector working with farmers, we do understand that bringing seeds, hybrid seeds or improved seeds, are a form of innovation to farmers. And there are some certain pillars that normally limit adoption of innovation by farmers. It's usually lack of resources, incompatibility or complexity of the new innovation or technology to their farming systems, their socio-economic approach, or their cultural constraints. This all feeds into a food system approach, which I know the Collaborative Seed Project is carrying out. In the past, where we also worked on the Seeds for Change project, we have tried to work using that food systems approach. And that means bringing everybody like we have onto the table so we can look at the problem from different angles and different views to be able to crystallize out one clear solution. I think as someone representing and working closely with the Horti Nigeria program, which is working to build an inclusive horticultural sector, we'll have a lot of information in our next meetings with Horti Nigeria to inform them and share some of the findings, some of the discussions from this particular discussion. And as for us, the Netherlands African Business Council in Nigeria, we are still committed to facilitating sustainable trade and investment within Nigeria and the Netherlands. I was glad to hear about some of the experiences we've had from some of our speakers about the Dutch private sector and the Dutch agricultural innovations. And a key point to reflect on is that was all built on the premise of research and development, and who is willing to invest into that research and development within the country. How do we fund that so that we have a Nigerian sector, whether it's in the rice value chain, whether it's in the vegetable value chain, that is reflective of our need, that is reflective of the needs of the farmers and answers our own peculiar questions, our own peculiar ecological situations we find ourselves. Thank you very much for having us on this. And I think we have a lot more to reflect on, and I hope we'll be able to network some more in future, whether virtually or physically, to solve some of these problems and address some of these issues. And I will definitely be taking this back to member companies and the private sector of the Netherlands, and also to team members in the Horti Nigeria program and other stakeholders in this Nigeria-Netherlands seed partnership that we've been building. Thanks a lot for having us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kabir. It's very insightful one, and it's good to note that our participants, they've remained online. That means this session has been an interesting one, and everybody is eager to know what can we do to strengthen the seed sector in professionalizing it by having thriving value chains. And I want to call on my acting DG of National Agricultural Seed Council to also give us final words before I close this session. Dr. Isha Khalid, please, sir, if you're online, please come up stage, sir, so that
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Dapo. I think it has been a very interesting deliberation. I listened from the beginning and up to this particular moment, and all the observations, comments, and remarks were clear. And I took note, particularly areas Seed Council had some role to play to ensure that we have moved the system better or move forward to ensure that the farmer really gets the best. One thing of note that wasn't so much mentioned that gives me some concern, but I know it has been a challenge for particularly the tomato farmer, is the case, the area of handling, seed handling. See, this is very, very important. There might be, the producer might have produced high quality vegetable seeds, not just tomato, but where you find them, particularly the agro dealers, you are finding seed is the living entity, the only living input among all. But because of maybe the dream or the one-stop shop arrangement also, you discover that tomato is kept with agrochemicals, the seed, knowing very well that there's some gaseous exchange, and gas is released from these chemicals. When you sell, if you are familiar with agrochemical shop, you will discover that chemicals have a particular releases they make, and these living entities are kept there, so they easily die. In some worst case scenarios, you even see them with fertilizer, cement, and of course, even as bad as kerosene and other things in the same agro dealer shop. So I think the Seed Council has been trying to ensure that we engage. We have started the engagement with the agro dealers, and we'll continue to engage with them to educate them and let them understand the position of seed. And see, one other regrettable thing is that with the way we place seed in Nigeria is looking very sad, because I see seed is fat inputs that drive seed instead of the other way around. If there are projects, both government and maybe some of these NGOs, you engage somebody who is an input dealer like fertilizer to go and source for the seed to make up. It is supposed to have been the other way around. We know crops, some are fertilizer specific. In some countries, they are fertilizer specific. So why is it that it is the fertilizer that will be driving seed? Even some of our African countries here, like in Kenya, the fertilizer you will be using for potato is not the same thing. Like in our own case here, everywhere is NPK. And no specific. So seeds should be given this place as a living entity to drive other inputs, not the other way around. But I think as the discourse has been very, very educative, informative, and I'm very, very happy with the number of participants. As at this moment, even when it's about 2 hours, we have over 70 listeners. So I think it has been a very, very wonderful arrangement. CSP, keep it up. I don't want to praise you because you are expressing what NASC is meant for. So, but I think somebody else outside should say you are doing well. We don't like to praise ourselves. Therefore, I think it's a message. Being member of the seed industry associations, it is very important that we look at this. Follow your seeds. When you produce the seeds and you are giving to agro dealers to retain, on what situation, how are they kept? So this makes farmers incur a lot of loss. If you buy a sachet of maybe even 10 grams of tomato, and you intend to do a garden in your house, and you planted, and you maybe have about 2 or 3% germination, do you think that farmer will ever trust that something? It's not the fault of the company, but rather the fault of the retailers who are handling this. So it is good for us. I'm very, very happy Bea is there, because the top tomato juice is doing wonderfully well too, because I had the privilege to visit them and I saw how they are operating. The good thing is that they also, this backward integration where you determine what you get back based on the final product the market went. And I like the language the young man used. It is, some people will always say farmer preferred varieties. Farmer does not have any preference, except it's not selling. It is we who buy, me and you who may not be farmers who are buying, that have preference. And the farmer wants to get money, then he has to go for our preference. So I think there are some economic words we have to be using very well when we educate, and NISAL, I think is good. NISAL seems growing so well, but they need to.
Yes, my DG, seems we lost you to network, but the thoughts
Sorry, we
are
lost
clear.
you, sir.
The thoughts are clear that we all in the seed value chain, we need to live up to expectation. So on final words, I would like to appreciate Dr. Ishad Khalid for giving us the final reflections as well as being with us throughout this program. I'm so sorry for the network fluctuations to our participants. That's the situation we have here. I also like to thank all our panelists, from the first person to the last speakers. We thank you so much for what you have done today, and our audience, most especially, for staying with us despite the time that we have spent so far. I would also like to thank my co-moderator, Mr. Ojogu, for the wonderful facilitation. So till next time when we meet, I would like to see you at our next Sixth Sector Platform webinar, which is going to come very soon. You can see in the chat box the contacts of the CSP as well as our partners. We'll be sharing the presentations made today, and you can watch the live recording via our CSP website, even once we finish this session. So on that note, I would like to thank every one of us once again, and everybody close this webinar. Thank you all. Thank you for joining us. Bye. Till we'll see you next time.